Intonation is an important part of English. Practicing intonation, integrating it into your spoken English, and mastering it can help you sound more natural and express yourself more fluently when you're speaking. Hello everyone, how are you doing today? Welcome back to my English learning channel with me, Catalin. Have you ever felt that English sounds so musical? Now, I definitely wouldn't say that English is the most beautiful language in the world, but it definitely has some rhythmic and musical quality to it. That rhythm of English is something that native English speakers learn how to copy as they grow up. And if you want to sound more natural when you're speaking, it's something that you need to learn and practice too. Two of the ways that we can create the rhythm of English is through sentence stress and intonation. Today's video is going to focus on intonation. We will learn what it is, its different types, and how you can use it in your spoken English to sound more natural. So let's get into today's lesson. First of all, what is intonation? Intonation is the melody of English. It is the way that your voice rises and falls when you're speaking. Mastering intonation can help you express your emotions, emphasis, and intent. You could say the same sentence with different intonations and completely change the way that it sounds and what it means. One of the key ways that we use intonation in English is to emphasize the most important part of a sentence. How we do this is we say the most important word in that sentence louder, longer, and with a higher pitch. Let's take a look at this sentence as an example. I'll first say it with no intonation. I never said she called. Now let's see how this sentence changes by placing the emphasis on different words in the sentence. I will place the emphasis on the word I by saying it louder, longer, and with a higher pitch. I never said she called. This sentence now means that it wasn't me that said she called, but it was someone else. Now let's put it on the word never. I never said she called. This emphasizes that I 100% did not say that she called. Now let's put it on she. I never said she called. This means that I said somebody else called, not her. And finally, let's put it on the word called. I never said she called. This means that she didn't call, but maybe she texted. Isn't that crazy? Just by changing your intonation and changing what word you put the emphasis on, one sentence can have 5 different meanings. You try to practice yourself. Try putting the emphasis on different words in this sentence and see how it changes the meaning. In addition to using intonation to emphasize the most important point of a sentence, we also have different intonation patterns in English. These different patterns can show different meanings and emotions. There are 2 main intonation patterns in English. The first is rising intonation. Rising intonation is when your voice goes up at the end of a sentence. Rising intonation is very common when we ask yes or no questions. These are questions that can be answered by saying yes or no. For example, the question, would you like a tea? Or did you win the game? Did you notice how my voice went up at the end of both of those questions? Rising intonation can help the other person understand that what you're saying is a question. We also use rising intonation for tag questions. These are questions that start with a statement and have a tag on the end. This tag asks for confirmation using words such as isn't it, don't you think, or right? For example, the questions, "You're an English student, right?" Or, "The weather is lovely today, don't you think?" For tag questions, your intonation should rise on the tag part of the question. Rising intonation is also really useful to show that you are enthusiastic or curious. For example, if you were to say, "No way! That's so cool!" Using a rising intonation helps the other person know that you really are excited. Another pattern of intonation is falling intonation. This is like the opposite of rising intonation. Instead of your voice going up at the end of a sentence, your voice falls at the end of a sentence. This type of intonation is most often used when people are making statements, being very clear about something, or making demands. It sounds more powerful than rising intonation. For example, "I'm leaving. Leave it on the desk. Stop that now." Can you hear how my voice falls at the end of each of these statements? Another time we also use falling intonation is when we ask WH questions. These are questions that start with the WH words: who, what, when, where, which, why, and how. See if you can hear how my voice falls at the end of these WH questions. Where do you work? When does the shop open? Whose bag is this? The last word of each of those questions falls in pitch. That is a falling intonation. Rising intonation and falling intonation are our two main intonation patterns. These are the most common. But sometimes we will also have a combination of them within one sentence. We can have rising falling intonation and falling rising intonation. Rising falling intonation, or rise fall, is when our voice first rises and then falls within one sentence. A common time that we use rise fall intonation is when giving a person a choice between two things. Our voice will rise on the first option and fall on the second. For example, "Do you want tea or coffee?" Or, "Are you wearing black or white?" We also use rise-fall intonation in lists. When we are saying a list, our intonation will rise on every item and fall on the last one. For example, we have apples, oranges, bananas, and pears. Another example, "I bought a dress, a shirt, handbag, and shoes." The rising intonation on each item helps the other person know that your list isn't finished. Then when you fall on the last item, they know that the list is done. And last but not least is fall-rise intonation. Fall-rise intonation often happens just within one word. So as we say only one word, our voice will both fall and rise again. Fall-rise intonation is most often used to show that someone isn't sure about something. For example, "Well, I suppose," or "maybe," and last one, "Are we allowed in here?" And that is all for our lesson on intonation today. Intonation is an important part of English. Practicing intonation, integrating it into your spoken English, and mastering it can help you sound more natural and express yourself more fluently when you're speaking. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like and subscribe before you go. And you can always check me out and ask me any questions you have on my social media or down in the comments below. I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead, and I will see you in the next lesson. Bye!